The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
Welcome, everyone, to another exciting edition of the Pennsylvania High School Football Report podcast. I'm Brian Linder. I'm here with Dan Sostek. Dan, let him hear your voice.
Hey, you said I wasn't going to survive my camping trip. I did, so take
You did
that.
it. I'm proud of you. We'll talk about that a little. Eric Epler.
Hello,
School
everyone.
football for 26 years now. Up
28. This will be 29.
Lord.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
Eric Epler. Now you guys know their voices. Carolyn Fortney, big fan of the podcast. You already know their voices. Guys, Dan, you survived your camping trip. How did it go? No missing 4-on-1 situation. Nobody came up missing strangely. Possible UFO, Bigfoot sightings, anything like that.
Eddie,
I was probably the worst part of the trip because I had a second night. I woke up in the middle of the night. I had like a night terror. I started like screaming and freaked out the rest of everyone at the on the site. So I was the nuisance of anything. So besides that, it was a good old time. I can now say I was up in Bedford, around Bedford at Blue Knob State Park. They had a swimming pool there. Walked up to the top of the ski resort and watched the fireworks. Had some good burgers. Did some hiking. Didn't get any ticks, and it was a good weekend where my phone died rather quickly. So
Camping in 100 degrees, man. Dodging shit.
it was chilly though. Like that's the thing about camping; it gets chilly at night. So once you get to like 9-10 p.m., it's real nice out there.
Yeah, after you get a good lather sweat going up from it being 100 degrees.
That's what the pool was for.
Yeah. So how about my guy Zach Eady? You don't want to give him any love.
I mean, first off, you're like parading around because he scored 14 points in a summer league game. Like in an overtime summer league game, he had 14 points. Like, congratulations! But he's gonna be like Jonas Valanciunas type player. He's gonna be a fine starter.
Look, you've been putting the big fella down. You and Dave Jones. I read Dave Jones' column where he was trying to call him Mark Eaton, a poor man's Mark Eaton, or something like that.
No, he's not going to be anywhere near as good as Mark Eaton. Mark Eaton was a defensive player of the year. This guy's going to be on his last legs trying to,
keep moving the goalpost on him. 2 years ago, he wasn't even going to get drafted.
And I was right. He literally didn't enter the draft. I was right.
Boy, oh boy.
Yeah.
You need to become a politician after this. This in the spin room with Dan Sostek on CNN.com.
I'm not going to comment on
we got stuff going on this week, football though. Let's get into that because people might actually be tuning into the high school football report for high school football. Look, I got to tell you guys, I bought my new Xbox. I've downloaded EA Sports College Football. Dan went and got a PlayStation because I got an Xbox, and he said,
"Okay, I've had a PlayStation since."
And he's ducking. What, Dan?
I've had a PlayStation since it was released. I'm the real gamer.
Ducking, Dan. Quit ducking. You don't want these problems, Dan.
Yeah, I'm not concerned.
Scrappy used to say back in the day, you don't want no problems with me, Dan, on the sticks, on NCAA football. Well, EA Sports, right? It's not NCAA football anymore.
No.
So, but look, we got, Anthony Smith's mom actually messaged me because she saw where I already downloaded the game, which you can't start playing until next week, and said she thought Ant was in it. And I said, yeah, he is. I think Andrew Irby Jr. is in it, stuff like that. So it'd be cool to see where some of our guys, who can we be looking for? And we were talking about how some of the guys now playing high school football might rank, but who can we be looking for locally in that game?
Well, I mean, Anthony Smith, the issue is some of these guys that are local the ratings are going to probably kind of overlook them. They're probably just going to look at like Anthony Smith's stats and just be like, yeah, he's just like a 6'7" defensive end who doesn't is kind of whatever, and probably don't realize like the type of athlete he is. So, but I am excited to see guys like that. There is one District 3 player in the top 100. Nick Singleton is a 91 overall, former Governor Mifflin star. But I think it's cool for these kids to, before they've reached kind of that pinnacle, to get this shine in the video game. We'll see how accurate they look. I think he said there are some players who are saying they might not have even got the correct skin tone right for some of their some players.
Nick Dawkins tweeted that, which he's, former Parkland center. Daryl Dawkins' son, and I think he tweeted out like they made him white in the game, which was like, come on, guys.
Yeah, I mean, his dad's nickname, I think with his dad's nickname, they should have got it right, but.
Well, they probably don't even know at EA Sports that his dad was Daryl Dawkins.
Sure, that's the thing with these games. There's so many players to keep track of. It's like it's when Madden screws it up, it's a little more it's a little like less forgivable. They're juggling like 170 teams and like 2,000 players on this thing. So
Nick Singleton will be fun. I'm have to play with Penn State a little bit to see what they got Nick doing. Put Bo Prabula in there and let him run around a little bit.
Yeah,
see if they got his speed up. So. Epler, you're not a big college football video game guy?
Ever since I stopped playing Tecmo Bowl back in the day, which is still, there's two greatest games ever invented. One was Tecmo Bowl, and that's undisputable. You can't argue against that. The other one was RBI Baseball, both Nintendo classics. But after the Nintendo wave ended, when I was, I don't know, 24-ish, 25-ish. I stopped playing. I never had a Sega, never had a Xbox, never had a what's yours, Dan?
PlayStation.
I've had buddies who have had them, and I've tried to play. I get too frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, remember the double dribble glitch? Yeah, you guys ever heard of? Oh,
yes. You shoot it from the corner every time.
You shoot it from the corner as you're falling out of bounds. And yeah, my buddy used to play that. We used to play, and he would drop 90 on me in a 3-minute game. And I'd get so frustrated. I'd start throwing controllers and things like that. So I gave it up.
Mike Tyson Punch-Out guy?
I do. I did like Mike Tyson's Punch-Out. Yeah.
That's an all-timer.
Yeah.
We're not going to allow Eric to play Tecmo Bowl during Media Day.
Oh, I'm playing. Oh yeah. And I'm the old guy, so I get to be the Raiders and Bo Jackson.
We were talking, before, go way back to the Atari days where you could run behind the screen and intercept passes.
Yes.
Kill people with that. That was a great glitch too.
But for Atari, I would play Enduro. It's still the greatest racing game ever made. Yeah.
Well, look, it's a whole thing now. And even today in 2024, there are people who stream on Twitch and stuff playing football.
My nephew does. He's a pretty good player. He does those. I don't know what they call them, like first-person shooter games. Is that what they call them? Yeah, he's like Halo, and the other one they played forever, where he dropped you in from the sky. I don't know. I don't know.
Fortnite.
Fortnite. Yeah, he was making money. Yeah, on Fortnite.
People may not know that Sean Abner, who was a number one in the Major League Baseball draft and got some terrible legal trouble.
His son,
Scump Abner, he went to Cumberland Valley High School, and he's a multimillionaire playing God, what was it? One of the first person shooters, one of the big ones.
He was like a Call of Duty guy or wasn't he?
Halo. I think one of those, but one of those might have been Call of Duty. But I mean, he's a multimillionaire, very famous.
Well, supposedly, right in their backyard, Harrisburg University has one of the best e-series or e-game programs and teams in the country.
Yeah,
they're really. I mean, it's impressive. But yeah, anyway.
With these football games now, man, it's a whole thing though.
Oh yeah,
and celebrities are in, like Michael Parsons already tweeting about this game and stuff. And
it's huge business. I know. Yeah,
the biggest appeal of the game is, how I always play is you pick the worst college program in the country, or like the lowest funded one. You go to, like Idaho, University of Idaho, like Wyoming, Florida International University, and you just build it up till they become the next Alabama. And if you feel like a genius, you feel like an absolute genius.
Yeah.
And then you leave in 5 years and go to the next school.
Unrealistic. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That's the whole semester of college because me and some buddies were just stay up all night recruiting and stuff.
The recruiting's the best part. I don't know why all these coaches say it's hard. It's really easy on NCAA. You just press a button and it tells you how much the player liked it. It's real easy.
I won a tournament in Latson, South Carolina, NCAA to GameStop. I was the champ there, but my favorite year for the game was when Miami had Devin Hester his senior year.
Oh yeah.
Because for whatever reason, they actually made Devin Hester where he could throw the ball pretty well. I subbed him in at quarterback and we run the option, and it was unstoppable because how fast he was, and then also he could throw the ball a little bit. Because usually they make the skill guys where they can't throw it all, and it was like the greatest thing ever. It's the most fun I ever had playing a game.
Well, I'm upset there's no mascot mode this year. They got rid of that from the game. They used to be able to do the thing where you just played like 11 mascots on one side, 11 mascots on the other side, and you have like the orange man against the Oregon Duck, and they'd be going up making Odell catches and everything. And they said you're allowed to have some fun, but not too much. So.
And you're gonna get on this game and get Pitt, and I mean you said you're gonna take the worst team, so you'll get Pitt, and then how many quarterbacks are you gonna offer in every class? Like 15?
We're moving to triple option if I take over Pitt. We're gonna turn into Paul Johnson, Georgia Tech from the 2000s. So
you got to create Sean Lee Jr. and then put him and let him run the triple option.
Hey, you'll see. Nate Yarnell's got some juice. So you'll see.
Create Cam and just start smashing people.
Epler, 4 games into the season, he's going to text me something awful about Nate Yarnell.
I don't know.
Done with him.
No, I mean, I don't have expectations for him. I thought Phil last year was going to be something. I was optimistic about Phil. So
Dan will break up with a Pitt quarterback in like a quarter and a half.
That's not. I mean, it's not. I don't understand this reputation. They've had 2 of the worst quarterbacks of like the last 2 years. Like Keaton Slovis and Phil Jurkovec have been absolutely abysmal. So I'm not just going to sit there and be like they're good. They weren't good.
What happened to Keaton Slovis? I mean, I know you said that a lot of his. We're way down a rabbit hole here, but my Colts signed him, and I watch his film from like his freshman year at Southern Cal. He's slinging it all over the field, Dan.
You want to know what happened? He had Amon-Ra St. Brown that year, and then he didn't have Amon-Ra St. Brown, and then he stunk. Like he's not good. He's like a 3-star quarterback who had a good receiver, and then he didn't. So enjoy him with your Colts. You might need him this year. So
Dan, that's uncalled for. Anthony Richardson is going to light it up this year.
Yeah, I think we're getting a little too far down the road.
Hey, let's talk about some Mid-Penn guys.
Yeah.
If we put them in the game a year or 2 from now, what do we,
I think the fun one is who would have the best throw power rating. I think you kind of have to default to Stone, right? Because he's the SEC. He's the SEC guy, but I've seen Drew Branstetter uncork some pretty nice deep balls. I think there'd be some other quarterbacks that could maybe do it, but Stone's obviously done it the longest, so I'd imagine he'd be at least the best combination of throw power, throw accuracy, grades, and probably awareness as well.
I'm a little bit disappointed you didn't go Bennett Seacrest here because I know, Bennett, if you're listening, you're one of Dan's guys. He's always advocating for you.
Yeah, if you can't tell, I think Ep has probably figured it out by now. I like the baseball quarterbacks.
Yeah,
I think that's like a really good archetype for quarterback. That's what Patrick Mahomes was. It's it just kind of I think that creates that arm slot the baseball quarterbacks have. I always am a fan of. So I think Cedar Cliff will be a fun little. they're going to be kind of an annoying little pesty team in that Commonwealth division this year.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.
How about, statewide guys? I would say a real sleeper. Again, we've had him on this podcast. Samaj Bills over at Roman Catholic, the young guy.
Oh yeah, he can sling the ball.
Yeah, I mean, you got he had an offer from Alabama when he was a sophomore.
Yeah.
And he's special.
Who would have the best speed rating? Who would have the best speed rating of any? Would it have to be our guy Lex Cyrus? Do you think would he have that 99 speed in high school football?
Lex Cyrus will be up there, Epler.
Well, yeah, he runs a 6, whatever it is, 6'7", whatever it is, right?
100, yeah.
60. Yeah, he's like 6. I don't know, 7'3" or something like that.
Yeah.
What did the United States at 6'8", something like that?
Yeah.
I mean, that's ridiculous.
Unless Central Dolphin can talk Gabe Scott into playing, because that kid can roll.
Jesse Myers is on the state college football roster every year, and that he'd be one of those guys. Whenever you play one of these video games, you always find those guys lower on the depth chart who have like the 99 overall speed, and you just say, "Screw it, I'm putting them as my number one wide receiver. I don't really care about any of the other ratings because they're just going to burn the corner." That's what I'd do if I had Jesse Myers on those rosters, and maybe we'll get a chance to see him play this year for with a lot of turnover on that state college football team, because he's been on the roster the last couple of years.
Here's one. How about in our theoretical video game? Who's your top offensive lineman? Is it Kevin Brown? Is it Tyler Merrill? I mean, this is the question we got in Mid-Penn. For folks who don't know, Cumberland Valley's Tyler Merrill, the Big Oak, and then Harrisburg's Kevin Brown, is two just unreal offensive lineman prospects in that class of 2026.
I think that I would go Kevin Brown just because you could probably move him to tight end and he'd still be like in the video game where you can edit the player and change their position. You just go in there. If you had all of his attributes in there and changed it from offensive tackle to tight end, he'd probably still be like an 85 overall. So it'd give you a little more flexibility. But I mean, Tyler Merrill probably just be a lot of pixels on Tyler Merrill because that kid's a big kid. So and as a compliment, obviously, I mean he goes by Big Oak, so I think he's fine with acknowledging that because but I think Tyler Merrill will probably have that strength at like a 99 overall. I don't think I remember him telling me his freshman year that he had like pretty much never lifted before and instantly became like the team's, like, as a freshman, as a like 14-year-old kid, became like one of the team's like top lifters immediately. Like the kid is just you can't call him country strong because he was born in Germany and lives in Mechanicsburg. That's not exactly country, but he's about as country strong as you can get without being from the country.
Some people might say Michael Carroll, the Alabama commit from Central Bucks East, belongs in that convo.
Oh yeah.
If you're looking statewide, I think an interesting one, running back. Who's our best run? Who would be our top rate running back if we were picking out of Pennsylvania altogether? I mean, you got Jabri Coleman, who's a Penn State commit. Messiah Mick is a Penn State commit. Isaiah West is an Ohio State commit from St. Joe's Prep. Takui Hayes from Alabama.
I think I know who Epps going. I know who Epps' favorite running back in the state is.
Who would that be?
I think you're going to say Tyke.
I would say Tyke. Yes.
Yeah. I know how big you are on Tyke, and it's hard to disagree with that.
Got a little Elliott kind of to him.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. He's pretty compact. Like, he's just one of those guys that it's just kind of like you see him, you're like, how do you tackle this kid? Because sometimes, unless you're like Derrick Henry, when you're like huge, it's almost just giving you a bigger target to tackle. He's just that perfect package. He's a very similar kind of build to, Messiah Mickens isn't the he's not like that Derrick Henry build either. He's more of a compact guy. Masai is just a guy too that we've said it before in this podcast. It's kind of difficult to assess where we are with him just because of how injured he was, how banged up he was all last year. When we saw the flashes at the early part of the year, we were saying this guy might be the best running back in the country. He was looking so unstoppable. Then he had some injuries. So it would not surprise me if he came out this year and proved he was the best running back in the state either.
Tyke's a guy that gets to full speed quicker than anybody saw.
Yeah.
Last year, that's not this Messiah and a couple other guys, but I just think he gets to his fifth gear faster than anyone I've seen in a while, and that says something when you're starting to stand still, and plus I like the way they use him a little bit better than and some of the ways that Messiah has been used. Some packages and schemes that they run. I think they allow him to get a boost quicker at Aliquippa, the way they run them. So I think if they're in similar systems, obviously they're both tremendously talented backs. But I would probably give the nod to Tyke. Yeah, that would be me.
Here's a sneaky good debate. Who would have the best kick power rating? And there's two. We've got two really good kicking prospects. Matthew Parker and Pete Notaro from North Allegheny just committed to Alabama.
Yep.
So I've seen Parker kick. That kid can launch the ball like that. He is about it. And I guess I saw Notaro kick against Harrisburg too. He wasn't. He was mostly. Didn't really get to showcase the leg strength in that one. But I guess in the kickoffs, in hindsight,
Parker too. Like I've never seen a kicker so busy on the sideline all game long. Like Parker doesn't sit down. Parker's not. You know what I mean? Like he doesn't just trust. Oh, it's going to be an extra point or something. I'm fine. He is working on the sideline the entire time. I was amazed. Like you don't notice kickers when you're standing on the sideline covering a game, but I found myself constantly moving out of his way so he could kick into the net, or he could stretch, or he could do little jaunts, you know what I mean, up and down the sidelines just to keep his legs. I mean, it was amazing watching him just get ready for what's coming, and obviously punts and kicks, and so
he's a Penn State commit, right?
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, probably two of the best kickers in the area since Chad Ryland, maybe, but my guy, our guy Chad, but yeah, that's because I think Notaro committed to Alabama fairly recently too.
I think it was. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah, so we don't always get the SEC schools coming down for kickers,
right?
And I imagine they were just looking at North Allegheny and found that. So, I mean, this is getting excited just to think about all these different players we're going to get to see this year.
Yeah, it'll be fun.
I'll tell you, bounce back to the running backs real quick, and just outside of theoretically like sticking them in a game. I think Isaiah West is like he might be the most interesting player in the state, right? I mean, he's got all these big offers. He's an Ohio State commit, 6 foot, 215-pound running back out of St. Joe's in that class of 2025.
Was he originally committed to Cincinnati? Did he flip? Or am I misremembering?
I'm not sure. He was. I think he was committed to somewhere else, but now he's an Ohio State commit. And I mean, he's got all the tools. He's an Ohio State commit, and that tells you a lot. But I mean, he hasn't put up a ton of numbers.
That's called St. Joe's prepitis, right? Where you kind of get you can't really judge we were talking about it with Marvin Harrison Jr., right? And David Washington, all these dudes. It's just so hard to properly assess some of these St. Joe's prep kids because they're sharing their playing time so much, and you got to make everyone happy. It's like when you look at the United States men's basketball history, the leading points per game scorer ever is for the U.S. team is Kevin Durant. with a career average of like 19 points a game. It's like when you have all those guys, you got to feed everyone, and the numbers aren't going to look as pretty, but you probably know you have the best in the business. And I think St. Joe's Prep is the one of two teams or one of two or three teams in the state that were just listed on national rankings. So, yeah, I think they're going to be pretty good again, despite some losses.
Yeah, David Washington Jr. had like 560 yards receiving,
and he was as good as anybody in the state.
Right. Which to compare that between our returning guys in the Mid-Penn, that would rank 11th.
Yeah.
And that's just returning guys, so just in one conference. I mean, so that just kind of goes to show you that there's so many hands to pass the ball around to at St. Joe's Prep. And, quite frankly, during the regular season, a lot of those times the guys, they're on the bench in the second half.
Yeah.
Because they're up 35-0 or 40, whatever it is. So, so it's pretty impressive what those guys do. And because I see it every year, when All State comes around, and a lot of your St. Joe's Prep guys, obviously, Beals was quite a different, thing. And or Samaj Jones was, was quite different because he was also obviously a dual threat guy. But, he was really the only one with outstanding numbers.
Yeah.
So, it's pretty impressive what those guys piece together every year.
I mean, we're kind of bouncing outside of the video game, but I mean, can you guys think of a more interesting player in the state or even in the area this year?
Very well.
Yeah, than West. I want to see what them because also we talked about they had 3 running backs last year. I think they had the kid who went to Towson. Why his name's escaping me for the moment. And then they had Eric Sanchez who played in the Big 33 game at running back. And they had Isaiah. And you got to figure, I mean, St. Joe's will have some other people, but obviously they lost some margin receivers. So you got to think they're probably going to maybe, feed him the rock a little more this year. So I think he's pretty interesting. I mean, the quarterback across the state, Matt Zollers at Spring Ford, our guy, Bishop McDevitt, Stone Saunders, and then Samaj Beals, maybe his top quarterback debate, I think is pretty interesting. But can you think of a more interesting player in you guys' mind? Anybody sticking out in Isaiah West?
I'm going with my guy I've mentioned a couple of times just because, again, I've seen this team play a couple of times. I think I saw them last year. And I don't, like, off the top of my head, I don't really remember a ton of like huge splash plays when I saw him, but it's and maybe he probably didn't play that much actually. But just I'm interested in this Joey O'Brien kid. Like I really just want to like I'm really excited to see like why he has made this massive leap to the number 2 player in the state. Seemingly overnight. Like he was literally unranked. Obviously he must have really crushed it in his camps and everything. But LaSalle's playing Harrisburg week 1, so we're gonna be a fun matchup there, I believe. So I'm just I think actually it looks like he's just still listed as an athlete, so he has a ton of different ways he's probably going to impact the game. And I just want to see what this kid is like because it's been a couple of years since LaSalle has been super relevant in that state contender class, and probably since Abdul Carter was there when they had a shot when they had him and Sam Brown, I believe, a running back. Seems like they have a pretty good team this year with Gavin Sidwar, Joey O'Brien. Believe Julian McFadden's still back, if I'm not mistaken. He's another really good player. So I think that LaSalle team's interesting. I'm really interested in Joey O'Brien.
Yeah, for me, it's I can't think of a better 1-2 punch at linebacker than St. Joe's Prep's going to have.
Yeah.
Saka, I saw him as a freshman live and was so impressed. And I'm thinking, man, this kid's going to be unbelievable. Obviously, he's committed to Notre Dame, and then Cam Smith is right beside him. Another really just an unbelievable weapon for the Hawks. So, and he's a Duke. I think he's a Duke commit. So yeah, those 2 guys too. So I prefer. there's a lot of eye candy, obviously, on offense that we could talk about, but I try to look at positions that sort of get overlooked a little bit, and I think it's, those two guys at linebacker are pretty impressive to me. Again, they've got some big guys down low too. They do a lot of damage, so it's going to be hard to score on those guys.
Maxwell Roy just committed to Ohio State too.
Yeah, I mean,
he's a monster on the inside, on the interior.
It's an embarrassment of riches. It really is, and obviously they've got some guys to replace, but man, you never quite know who's walking through the doors either. So we could be getting, some guys coming in from Jersey or whatever too, or Maryland or wherever. So there'll be another force to be reckoned with, especially with those two guys at LB. So that's what I'm looking at first and foremost.
Well, guys, we got anything else? We've been going our contractually obligated 30 minutes here.
Well, we've got it's probably gonna be dated for most people who listen to this, but Lex Cyrus will be committing. Will be announcing his commitment on Thursday at 3 p.m.
Township wide receiver, speedster, coming down to, and people will know this by the time the podcast comes out. Maybe we can get him on here and talk about it. I know we're working on a commitment video with him and stuff, and we're going to be over there. But it's coming down to Penn State and South Carolina. SEC likes speed. So it'll be pretty interesting to see if he stays home or if he goes down to. I've been in Williams-Brice Stadium when they had 80,000 rocking.
Hot down there, man.
It's hot, but the thing about Williams-Brice is everybody talks about, Penn State putting 107,000. South Carolina will put 80,000 in there, whether they got 8 wins or 4 wins. They will show up. A lot of years, though, it seems like it's 4 wins.
And if he goes there, he teams up with Tyshawn Russell, former McDevitt wide receiver, who had a pretty good freshman year. But I know Messiah Mickens has been tweeting at Lex today, telling him to join him in State College. So I know they're pretty tight as well. So can't go wrong either way for him. I think as they say, speed plays everywhere. So I don't think Lex is gonna have an issue with that. That stuff always translates.
So we'll know when we come back on the next podcast next week where he ended up. We'll talk about that some, and we're going to really start. We've kind of freelanced a little bit here, but we're going to start getting into some real kind of breaking down some stuff and getting into the season here and talking to some people over the next couple of weeks. I'll say this too. I think Saturday here in Harrisburg, Robert Tate, former NFL player, is hosting a football camp. Robert's a great guy, done a lot for the community. Big shout out to him. Check out the camp and support him if you can there. And then I think Monday, Micah Parsons is bringing his community carnival and his football camp, free football camp for Harrisburg residents over to the high school. So there's gonna be a lot of good stuff going on through the weekend. And then we're gonna be getting into it, guys, here pretty soon. Baseball draft is, and we got some local guys and Pennsylvania guys there too. Which again, we know this is a high school football podcast, but we got some guys with Anderson French, maybe, you never know. Jeff Lugie from Mechanicsburg, Anderson French from Redland, Tegan Coons from Gettysburg, just locally. I know there's some other kids. I think there's a kid out Pittsburgh way who's ranked pretty darn high.
One of the big ones too is Gage Miller, Alabama's third baseman. He's a Paul Meyer graduate, shipped around community college for 2 years, got picked up by Bama and had an unbelievable season. I think he was 20 plus dongs, and obviously is now high up. I think he's inside the top 150, I believe, for prospect. Wow. So he could go, anywhere, second round, third round, maybe something like that. So yeah, that's a guy to watch too. But
I didn't realize Gage Miller did that, man.
Gage Miller was on our 2021 Big 11 All-Star team, and he was originally set to go to Clarion. And then decided to go JUCO and had 2 great years in JUCO and got picked up in Bama and he started every game for Alabama this year at third base, every single game. Wow. And unbelievable. I think second team All-American. And Yeah, he had a brilliant year, and he just kept climbing and climbing up the ranks. So he's going to be an early call.
Yeah.
That's really impressive. I mean, in 3 seasons, what he's been able to do, and get in this position is really amazing.
That's I know the name, I know the kid, I
Mhm.
know whatever that was not on my radar that he'd done that this year. That's we
Yep.
got some kids from Pennsylvania doing some big time things. We'll continue to shine the light on them. Guys, I think we got a podcast this week. Epler, tell them how to find you on social.
I'm at 3Jacker on X/Twitter.
Dan, tell them how to find you.
Dan_Sostek.
And I'm at Sports by B Linder on Twitter, which I always call Twitter. And hit me up with your gamer tags if you're on the Xbox when this, so I can get some, beat some of you folks in this EA Sports football when it starts rolling next week. Continue to check out the website. Epler started rolling out some different stat stuff from last year and looking ahead to this year. And we got a good, we are having our meetings now, our media day for Mid-Penn football actually got moved up. It's going to be in just 2 weeks, July the 24th at Cumberland Valley High School. If you're a media member, you want to come, hit us up there. Coach, listen to this, make sure you get your kids signed up. But obviously you got to see over the next, 2-3 weeks. We're inside of 50 days, I think, now before high school season. We're going to be rolling out a ton of content. So, keep your eyes open there. Keep watching PennLive.com. And until next week, we'll see you then.
The UPMC sports medicine experts in Central PA are here to help keep you in the game and improve your quality of life, no matter your age or activity level. Visit upmc.com/Central PA SportsMed to learn more.